You're welcome to this edition of the Power Circuit program, brought to you by the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN. This utility company will continue to keep you informed about its mandate of managing the national electricity grid and wheeling bulk power nationwide. Here are the headlines. Power Minister says 700 megawatts Zungeru hydropower project ready by December. Participants of Senior Executive Course 43 of NIPSS at TCN headquarters to understudy TCN operational policies. We'll bring you a special report covering proceedings of the 49th meeting of the Executive Board of the West African Power Pool WAP, which held in Cotonou in Benin Republic recently. The WAP chairman, Engineer Sule Ahmed Abdulaziz, at the meeting charged members on stronger commitment to improve regional electricity infrastructure. I am Amara Agugoesi, and this is the Power Circuit. The Minister of Power, Engineer Salim Maman, says the 700 megawatts Zungeru hydropower project in Niger State is on course and will be completed by December 2021. The minister stated this when he briefed the National Council on Privatization, NCP, on the state of the project. Here is a report on this.
According to a statement from the minister's office, matters relating to the concession of the Zungeru hydroelectric plants were discussed at the latest virtual meeting of the National Council on Privatization, chaired by the Vice President, Professor Yemi Oshibajo. The Minister of Power briefed the Council on the progress of the project, which is ongoing as planned. He said the turnkey project, which when completed, will generate and transmit 700 megawatts of electricity to the national grid, is on course for completion by December 2021. Earlier this month, the Bureau of Public Enterprises, BPE, launched a tender for the consultancy services to effect the process of awarding a concession for the Zungeru hydroelectric power plants. The winning consultant will assist the National Council on Privatization, NCP, and the BPE through due diligence review and the activities required to prepare it for the concession transaction. The project is said to be about 87% completion level. When operational, it will operate with a roller compacted concrete dam built on the Kaduna River, a tributary of the Niger River. According to the construction record, the dam has a height of 101 meters and a length of 233 meters, forming a reservoir capable of storing 10.4 billion cubic feet water. The underground power plant behind the dam will be equipped with 4 turbines of 175 megawatts each, with a power transmission station for the evacuation of the power to be generated at the hydropower generation company. In another development, the Ministry of Power has announced that the federal government is launching a program to electrify 200 primary healthcare centers and all the 104 unity schools in the country. The solar power mini-grid to be deployed across the facilities will also provide street lights to the immediate communities of the primary healthcare centers and within the environments of the unity schools to enhance security arrangements, the ministry stated. According to the Minister of Power, Engineer Salim Maman, in the statement, the program, which is being handled by the Rural Electrification Agency, is envisaged to create jobs and provide energy access to the unserved and underserved communities across the geopolitical zones under the federal government's plan to achieve 30% renewable energy sources by 2030.
Participants of the Senior Executive Course, SEC number 43, year 2021, of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, NIPSS, Kuru Jos, have visited the corporate headquarters of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, in Abuja. The study group 1 participants, who were led by its chairman, Rear Admiral E.O. Jayola, were at TCN to understudy its operations during a strategic interactive session that centered on strategic policy making for nation building.
The acting managing director and CEO of TCN, Engineer Sule Ahmed Abdulaziz, who welcomed the participants to the corporate headquarters of TCN along with other management team of the company, said the institute serves as the think tank of the nation for national development as he explained the mandate of TCN to the participants.
Your visit today is remarkable in the sense that it affords us the opportunity to attempt to bring to you up to date of our activities and of course furnish the team with all the information you requested for as contained in the letter to my office concerning this visit.
Engineer Abdulaziz also spoke about the milestones record of the company in almost 1 year of the present management team.
This management has vigorously pursued grid maintenance, expansion and rehabilitation, knowing fully well that as a nexus in the power sector, we play a pivotal role of providing leadership and practical show of commitment to the progress of the Nigerian electricity supply industries, NESI. In view of this, we are working assiduously to ensure efficient service delivery and have reconducted transmission lines. Some are still ongoing. We have also installed several transformers, rehabilitated several substations, and have put in place a more proactive maintenance program, which we diligently adhere to, among others.
He noted that TCN has collaborated more with the generation companies and the distribution companies towards ensuring that efficient power is supplied to Nigerians. The TCN head urged the leadership of the institute to consider including the company officials as course participants in subsequent ones, considering the critical role TCN play in electricity supply nationwide as a public utility firm. In his remarks, Chairman of the NIP Study Group 1 Senior Course Participant Delegation to TCN, Rear Admiral E.O. Jayola, said the course was to prime the participants on ways of developing strategic and specific policies for national development.
You'll agree with me that the country is not short of policies, neither are we short of programs, but the challenge is implementation and ensuring that things are done properly. And so for this senior executive course, the task from Mr. President is for us to interrogate the challenges and issues surrounding getting things done as we x-ray various policies and programs. And that is the reason why we are here this afternoon, particularly focusing on the power sector.
In a presentation to the participants, the market operator at TCN, Engineer Edmond A.J., explained the role of the market operations section of the company in managing market participants in the power sector, just as he lectured them on the process of the power sector privatization and the formation of TCN with transmission license since 2006.
As one of the 18 companies, TCN was duly incorporated under the Companies and Allied Acts in November 2005 as a public liability company. An initial transmission license was issued on 1st July 2006 by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, which was subsequently reissued as 2 licenses on June 10, 2013. The 2 licenses include a transmission service provider license to provide bulk power transmission, operator maintenance and services, as well as interconnecting neighboring countries, and independent system operator ISO license to manage the grid as the operator of the Nigerian grid and also administer Nigeria's wholesale electricity market as market operator. TCN is a member of West African Power Pool, WAP, an agency working towards improving cross-border energy flow among ECOWAS member countries. The MD TCN is the current chairman of WAP.
The presentation followed an interactive session with participants who sought various clarifications on the operations of TCN and the power sector. The TCN head, who noted the various questions, directed the management officials of TCN to respond accordingly. The Executive Director, Transmission Service Provider TSP at TCN, Engineer Victor Gbadebo Adewumi, spoke of some challenges affecting the speed of developing power transmission projects, which include right-of-way acquisition.
That is number one thing that is mitigating against our project delivery in TCN. In this part of the world, nobody wants to, release his land for any project whatsoever. And to mitigate this, we are collaborating with the state governments because under the law of Nigeria, the ownership of land rested squarely on the shoulders of the state government. So even us, as government agency, we are finding it difficult to get right-of-way. Project that ordinarily we should have complete, maybe that has a lifespan of probably 18 months. You have to be there for 4, 5, 6 years because of the issues of right-of-way.
The Executive Director, Independent System Operations ISO at TCN, Engineer Mamman G. Molawal, intimated the participants on how TCN manages the national electricity grid.
If you have available generation that is stranded, it amounts to monumental loss. In that case, you need to export to neighboring countries. And in the last 2 years, the performance has been characterized by having a generation that is not taken. And that actually informed the strategy deployed by the authorities to ensure that our neighboring countries were served power. So it was actually expedient to do that. And that would appear to be the pattern. So the situation we find ourselves of recent is just, it's temporary. I expect that sooner than later we will overcome it and will revert to the good old days. So it actually, makes economic sense to export power to our neighboring countries.
On his part, the Executive Director of Finance and Accounts, Mr. Ahmed Dusi, said TCN is being operated as a corporate entity and hence subjects all processes to a transparent and accountable exercise.
TCN is being placed in the center of one, like a private, a public company, and then another one is government, you see. So it is very difficult to operate in that kind of position. See, part of the rules come from government and we have to follow. Like we are being also regulated by apart from NAC, there are a set of rules that come from the Accountant General, which we'll have to follow. There are some that, of course, the Accountant General reports to the Ministry of Finance. So we all have all those ones to satisfy.
General managers of the various departments at TCN responded to the inquiries from the NIPS course participants. The TCN officials spoke on power transmission projects being funded by federal government appropriation and funds from multilateral donor agencies. They also spoke on the deployment of supervisory control and data acquisition SCADA tool, the electricity management system EMS, new telecommunication system and fiber optics by TCN, power asset vandalism challenges, among others. Presenting the closing remarks, the Executive Director, Human Resources and Change Management, Mr. Justin Ishaya-Dudu, said TCN was transiting towards repositioning it for better services, just as he lauded the participants for taking time to understudy TCN.
This is a very rare opportunity to interact with this prestigious students from this prestigious institution. And what we have attempted to do here as TCN is to give you some historical background, taking you from NEPA to PCN to TCN where we are today. Maybe we did not mention as well that we are also still transiting. According to the Act, we will transit from TCN, I will break up into two companies, TSP and ISO. That had been mentioned in the materials you have. So we are still in a period of transition.
In rounding up the interactive session, the chairman of the NIPS course participants, Rear Admiral Jayola, honored the acting managing director of TCN and his management team for hosting the elaborate session.
On behalf of the acting director general of the National Institute, in person of Brigadier General Udaya, retired, we want to appreciate you for, in the midst of COVID, creating time to still interact with us. And I'm sure the participants will agree that it's been a robust discussion and you've enlightened and broadened our knowledge on issues and challenges you face. And so this is just a token of our appreciation on behalf of the National Institute, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
The second plaque is actually from the study group that is visiting TCN. That is study group 1 of the senior executive course 43-2021. You have the names of the study group members. Yes. It's to appreciate you for hosting us and taking time to attend to our questions. Thank you, sir.
The acting MD of TCN also presented a plaque to the visiting participants to appreciate their visit.
On behalf of TCN, I'm presenting this to the study group, group 1 of 43-2021.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
The power circuit continues after this break.
Did you know that our high-tension transmission cables were built to withstand high temperatures except artificially induced ones such as fire? Did you know that burning bush or refuse dumps by TCN transmission tower base or along the transmission line's right-of-way is an offense? Did you know that the fire can cause high-tension transmission lines to snap and fall to the ground, electrocuting living things within the line radius? Did you know that extreme fire can cause the legs of transmission towers to buckle, and that buckling of the main frame of a tower would lead to its collapse and may even pull down other towers along that transmission line's route, causing untold damage to the line? Now that you know. Yes, now that you know, TCN is calling on all citizens of Nigeria to please desist from destroying our collective national investments. Be careful, do not set fire on trash or burn bush beside transmission towers or under electricity lines nationwide. Help us preserve the transmission grid and save the nation from blackout. TCN, transmitting electricity in the most efficient and effective manner.
Chairman of the West African Power Pool WAP and acting managing director, chief executive officer of the Transmission Company of Nigeria TCN, Engineer Sule Ahmed Abdulaziz, has charged members of WAP to be resilient in their commitments towards improving regional electricity infrastructure in West Africa. Engineer Abdulaziz gave this charge while declaring open the 49th meeting of the WAP Executive Board, which was held in Cotonou, Benin Republic recently. Here is the report of the proceedings.
The WAP Board chairman lauded the member utility firms' representatives for their commitment towards improving electricity in the West African sub-region despite the COVID-19 pandemic challenges.
As we hope in Lomé during the General Assembly 4 months ago, today, we have succeeded in holding this executive board meeting face-to-face. Of course, this does not mean that the COVID-19 pandemic is over, but it simply means that we are better able to adopt and take the right steps to fight it. However, we must continue to observe the COVID-19 protocols, and I pray that the Almighty God, in these blessed months of Ramadan, will continue to preserve us from this pandemic.
Engineer Abdulaziz said the COVID-19 pandemic has affected the electricity sector, but he, however, urged the members to show resilience. The WAP chairman also said projects at the secretariats are progressing.
I'm pleased to note from the brief presentation of the implementation status of WAP priority projects that in spite of some delays, the projects are progressing notwithstanding of the COVID-19 pandemic. I would like to congratulate the General Secretary for having succeeded in negotiating with other technical and financial partners for the financing of a significant number of priority projects through the various memoranda requesting the signing of financial agreements. I'm convinced that the start of the competitive phase of the regional electricity market will soon cease to be a marriage and become a reality.
The WAP chairman and TCN head urged the participants to leverage on the fiscal meeting by making viable contributions during the proceedings.
I'm confident that this session of the Executive Board will take place in a good atmosphere that has always characterized our meeting and that we will achieve fruitful results.
Earlier in his address, the Secretary General of the WAP Secretariat, Mr. Ki Segi Apollonier, urged the member utility firms to commit to paying their dues in time to accelerate the operations of the pool.
Vous souhaitez la bienvenue à cette 49e réunion du Conseil exécutif que nous avons l'occasion d'organiser en présentiel après plus d'une année.
The opening session of the 49th meeting of the WAP Executive Board ended with a photo session, while technical session and site inspection continued afterwards. The WAP chairman also led members of the WAP Executive Board to inspect ongoing construction works at the site of the WAP Information and Coordination Center, ICC, in Cotonou. Inside the WAP Information and Coordination Center, ICC, the project handlers explained the components of the project to the visiting team.
So here we have an overview of the ICC within, the WAP headquarters ICC within. Maybe Paul can introduce the main portions of this project and the contract and the current progress.
So we are here now at the entrance security post. And from here we will work. This part is the electrical part.
This one?
Electrical. Two generator, 100.
1 megawatt.
1 megawatt. Here. Here is the transformer.
You have full standby power for the boat?
Yes, standby power.
The project handlers further led the chairman and the members of WAP Executive Board through the various sections of the facility being developed. They also inspected the Supervisory Control and Data Acquisitions CADA and the Electricity Management System EMS section of the center.
Currently we are doing the deployment of the SDH, the ferries, fax system, and there is also the satellite system, obviously. The satellite panel is in the other room, and the links with most countries are already commissioned. So we had already Burkina Faso, Senegal, the ones that are already operational. Senegal, Burkina Faso, Guinea, and same. Before the end of, by the mid of May, the whole telecom network will be commissioned and operational.
Before wrapping up this edition, here are the highlights. Power Minister says 700 megawatts Zungeru hydropower project ready by December. Participants of Senior Executive Course 43 of NIPSS at TCN headquarters to understudy TCN operational policies. Chairman Executive Board of the West African Power Pool WAP, Engineer Sule Ahmed Abdulaziz, has charged WAP members during the 49th meeting in Cotonou in Benin Republic recently to develop stronger commitments to improve regional electricity infrastructure. It's a good deal having you always on the Power Circuit program of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN. We have made available this episode and all others on the TCN YouTube channel. You can keep your views and comments coming on these platforms as you sustain your collaboration with TCN in delivering on its mandates. TCN wishes you the best always. Also keep following the coronavirus prevention protocol. I am Amara Agugoisi. Have a good time.